Hi, I'm JC and I'm here to help you practice your English. Today we'll be looking at health matters. We'll be talking about different aspects of health. Most of the time it will be sentences dealing with maybe problems in health caused by illness or caused by accidents. What I'll do is I will present the sentences to you. I'll ask you to repeat after me. And then after that, I will give a few explanations to maybe certain points which are a little bit more difficult to understand, or maybe even some aspects of pronunciation that could be problematic. Okay, so let's get started. Number 1. I had a terrible headache, so I took 2 Tylenol to get some relief. Repeat. So at the end of the sentence, we see the expression to get some relief. And that is so that we will feel better. We could say for some relief, which is very good also. So to get some relief, for some relief, because you want that headache to go away. Another aspect I'd like to put emphasis on is the pronunciation of the word headache. Listen, headache. Repeat. Headache. Headache. There are other types of aches people can have too. Stomach ache, earache, backache. Number 2. After eating too many cookies, the kids felt sick to their stomachs. Repeat. So here we have the expression to feel sick to one's stomach. And in this situation, because kids is in the plural, we have to their stomachs. Also, the pronunciation of the word stomach. Repeat. Stomachs in the plural. Also in the sentence, we have the simple past tense of the verb to feel. Felt. The kids felt sick. Repeat. At the beginning of the sentence, we have after eating. We have the preposition after followed by the present participle of the verb to eat. After eating too many cookies. Number 3. I went to see my doctor since my right knee was acting up. Repeat. So the problem here was a person's right knee. And you know what the knee is. It's part of the leg. It's where the two parts of the leg come together and it bends. Now notice the pronunciation. I didn't say knee, I said knee. The K is silent. Now we have the expression at the end, was acting up. The infinitive would be to be acting up, okay, or to act up. Now, what does that mean? That means that the person's knee was causing them trouble, causing them pain in this situation. Acting up can also be used if we're talking, say, for example, about children who are misbehaving. We would say, oh, the children were acting up and I had to discipline the children. All right? But in this situation, we're talking about pain. Number 4. I got an earache because I forgot to wear a hat outside in the freezing cold. Repeat. So here the problem was an earache. Your ears were sore, an earache. Now, why? Because the person did not cover up his or her ears, maybe with earmuffs, or with a toque, or with maybe a hood on their coat. Because here, especially in North America, in the winter, it can be pretty cold. So you really have to protect your ears. And they describe the cold in this sentence as the freezing cold. Number 5. My elderly neighbor slipped on the ice and broke her hip. Repeat. That's quite an unfortunate accident, and it happens to a lot of people in the wintertime, slipping on the ice. Now, at the beginning of the sentence, we had the adjective elderly. My elderly neighbor. That means that the person was quite old. Now, elderly can be whatever you think. It may be in your 70s, 80s. It all depends on what it means to be old for you. But normally, elderly people are usually in their maybe 70s, 80s, and 90s. Now, elderly can also be a noun. We can say the elderly. There is a home on my street for the elderly, meaning for older people. But in our sentence, we have my elderly neighbor, so here it is used as an adjective. Now we had slipped on the ice, the verb to slip in the simple past tense, and the verb broke her hip. And broke is the simple past tense of the verb to break. And we say her hip because in the sentence it must be a woman that fell. We don't know at the beginning of the sentence when we say my elderly neighbor, it could be a man, could be a woman. But now we know at the end when we see her hip, we know that it was a woman. Number 6. Tommy got a nosebleed because Kenny punched him in the nose. Repeat. So here the problem is a nosebleed, and that is when there is blood that comes out of your nose. It could be for many different reasons. The reason in our sentence is because Kenny, another boy, punched Tommy in the nose. So it's no surprise that his nose started to bleed. So we would say a nosebleed. Now, after that, after Kenny punched him in the nose, you can punch someone in the stomach. You can punch someone in the back. You can punch them in their face if you want to say. So, you can punch someone in many different places. If we go back talking about Tommy and his nosebleed, we could also say Tommy has a bloody nose, meaning that there's blood on his nose and because he had an accident or because he was in a fight. Number 7. After Gino broke his leg in a skiing accident, he had to use crutches for several months. Repeat. So poor Gino had an accident, a skiing accident, and after he had to use these things here, crutches. Say it. Crutches. Very good. That's because he broke his leg. He probably had to have a cast at the same time on his leg, and then he had to use crutches. Number 8. When I don't wear my glasses, everything appears blurry. Repeat. Now this is especially true for someone who cannot see clearly far away and they have a special prescription lens in their glasses. Now my glasses here are my reading glasses because when I read it helps me so I can see the letters a little bit bigger and it makes it easier for me to read. Now in the sentence here we had everything appears blurry. That means that it's not clear what we see as far as images. And normally for certain situations, if you're talking to people, when you're looking at the people and they're a little bit of a distance away from you, you can't see their eyes and maybe sometimes you can't see certain expressions on their faces because everything is blurry. It's not clear. Say this, blurry, blurry. Very good. Number 9. The Public Health Department has recently recommended that everyone get their annual flu vaccination. Repeat. So at the end of the sentence, we have flu vaccination. Sometimes people say flu shot. I got my flu shot. And when you get a shot, they use something like this. They use a needle and they inject the vaccine into you to help you. Now, if you look at the sentence, recommended that everyone get the annual flu vaccination. So here you see get is spelled G-E-T. And normally with the word everyone, we would put an S on G-E-T. We would say everyone gets because this is the present simple tense. However, not in this situation. Why? Because of the verb recommend. The public health department recommended that everyone get. So there's no S. It would be the same thing if we use the verb to suggest. We could say the public health department has recently suggested that everyone get their annual flu vaccination. And that would be the same type of message. Recommend, suggest. It's pretty similar. Number 10. Joanne kept her daughter home from school today because she had a sore throat and a runny nose. Repeat. Okay, so at the beginning of the sentence we have the verb kept, the simple past tense of the verb to keep. She kept her daughter home. So she didn't send her to school. Why? Because the little girl was not feeling well. She had a sore throat. A sore throat. And her nose was runny because there was probably mucus coming out of her nose. Maybe she had the beginning of a cold or maybe the flu. So you don't want to go to school when you're sick because then other children will catch the virus at the same time. So a sore throat and a runny nose. Number 11. I made an appointment to see my dentist after I started to have an unbearable toothache. Repeat. So here at the beginning of the sentence we have to make an appointment. And in our sentence, the simple past tense, I made an appointment. Now we use this expression for making an appointment when we want to see a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, any list of professionals. You make an appointment. Now at the end we have, after I started to have an unbearable toothache. An unbearable toothache is one terrible toothache that you cannot stand having. You want it to go away immediately. It is terrible. You cannot live with it. It is unbearable. And I hope that the person can get to the dentist pretty quickly to take care of this terrible, unbearable toothache. Now say this word again. Toothache. Right. Toothache. Very good. An unbearable toothache. Repeat. Number 12. Following her knee replacement surgery, Michelle had to use a walker and then later a cane for several weeks. Repeat. So here we see in the sentence that Michelle had surgery. What type of surgery? Knee replacement, because probably her knee was worn out. She needed a new knee. So nowadays they do a lot of replacement surgery. You can have hip replacement, knee replacement, and the list goes on. Now, because of her surgery, she was in convalescence, so she had to use a walker because she had trouble getting around. I'll show you a picture of a walker. And then later, once she got a little bit more stable on her feet, well then she used a cane. And probably at the same time she had to go to the physiotherapist and do exercises with the specialist so that she would become more confident and more comfortable with her new knee. Well, that ends our activity for today. If you'd like to go back and practice these sentences with me, go right ahead, because these are not easy sentences. They're intermediate, I'd say intermediate 2 to advanced level sentences. So practice them with me again if you'd like. Well, I'll see you in the next video, so take care and bye-bye.